Good morning, everyone. Thank you for attending the Lasec webinar in partnership with Steroglass. Our speaker today is Jacopo Rossi, who is the Sales and Service Manager at Steroglass for their range of analytical equipment. He'll be talking us through the importance of water activity and how this can impact the shelf life and safety of products in food, feed, agricultural, cosmetic, and pharmaceutical industries. I'll now hand over to Jacopo to get us started.
Thank you, Laila, and thank you, Lasec, for this great opportunity to have the possibility to share information about water activity measurement with you. I'm going to share my screen. As Laila have anticipated you, today we are going to talk about the principle and the solution for a correct evaluation of water activity. So just to start a little bit, we'd like to introduce you something about Steroglass, about our company. You may consider that Steroglass is a more than 60 years old company. We were born in 1959. We are a family company with a family tradition. And we used to offer solution for the analytical laboratories, in order, especially in the chemical, food and beverage sector, pharmaceutical, biotechnological. And we are really committed to acting with loyalty, transparency, and respect to the clients and to our partner worldwide. So, just talking about water activity. It's a very important parameter because water activity is really important in order to have a correct evaluation of the possibility of development of bacteria and mold. So if appropriate control is not carried out in contained in any kind of stuff, can be subjected to development, to bad development linked to microorganisms that can determine the shelf life of food or drugs over time and creating potential health risk for the customer. This is an important parameter. You may consider that just in 2024 and the beginning of 2025, these are the data that currently we have the opportunity to check. The global food recalls linked to the bacterial contamination have reached record level. And this is surely a significant increase in serious cases of foodborne illness. Primary pathogens, as you know, might be, for example, the Salmonella, the Listeria, the Escherichia coli, and you can always find, this kind of product in meat, in poultry, in the dairies. Considering the data trends, we are talking about the 40% increase of recalls. And this is a very important data that we need to take really into consideration. Even because this kind of microbial contamination are the leading cause of the recalls. So 1/3 of the recalls, for example, of product in last year were due to microbial contamination. And surely this is something that even have a big impact on the health, and even the number of the cost that this kind of contamination caused are very high. And surely the worst thing is due to the fact that the companies might be really damaged, really affected when they have to make this kind of large-scale recalls of product. So it's really, really important to understand the main causes that cause these recalls, and surely we can consider really the 2024 in many different areas of the world as a wake-up year, especially on the food safety. On the pharmaceutical side, the water activity is, let me say, a little bit more known, okay? And there is an attention that came from already some here due to the pharmacopoeia, etc. But surely this is something really important that needs to be taken into attention. But let's start a little bit trying to explain this water activity, because in some cases you might have the idea there is a confusion in the market between water activity and the humidity. Humidity is the total amount of water contained in a sample. It is an extensive property that depends, in fact, on the quantity of the sample we take into attention. This is why, for example, if you want to make a measurement of humidity, you used to run a test with a thermal balance, because you need to weight your sample. And the humidity is an important parameter because gives information about the taste, about the flavor. A product is crunchy or less crunchy, for example, depending on humidity. So this is a very important parameter, but does not give any information about the degradability and the stability over time of the product. And what is water activity? Water activity is a part of the humidity, and is just the amount that is free available to be connected, for example, for development of microbial contamination. So it's the part that is not bounded, and this parameter is strictly connected to the shelf life of a product. So if I want to determine the shelf life of a product, usually I'm gonna check three main parameters: the pH, the water activity, and the temperature. But why the water activity is so important? Because the water activity is even strictly connected to the possible or not possible growth of bacteria, molds, yeast. You may consider that water activity is a scale based on a range between 0 to 1, in which 0 is the theoretical absence of water and 1 is the value of the distilled water. In this range, okay, all the products are contained. And based on this range, as you see from the chart, you may know that any kind of microorganism needs a specific minimum level of water activity to be able to grow up. For example, if my sample, if my product will have a water activity value that is lower than 0.8, I know that there is no bacteria that can grow in my product. So this is why it's so important to have this information, because you are going to be able to anticipate the evaluation of potential microbial growth. And this is an example of different products. So you can see that fresher is a product, higher is the water activity value. So you see fresh meat is very close to 1, it's 0.98, okay? This is why, for example, fresh meat, if you don't frost it, okay, you have a very short shelf life. The microbial growth is very fast. So this kind of information are very important for you in order to be able to keep the possibility to evaluate, okay, the possibility of microbial spoilage. And in the food and feed manufacturing, surely this is something essential, even based on the requirements of the HACCP. Then you might have several ways to lower the water activities. Some example, okay, you can have osmotic dehydration, you can have drying, freezing, crystallization. You can work to reduce, for example, the value of the water activity of a product in order to avoid the possible spoilage. But surely this is something that even just the information, okay, it's very important to know in order to prevent the possibility or the non-possibility of having microbial growth. Surely the key factors and the standards, the international standards that you can refer to are many, especially in even in the food industries. You can have from different regulation, okay, that depends on different areas in Europe, in US, etc. You can have AOAC, for example, but surely the most important is the ISO standard 18787 that specifically refers to this kind of measurement and give the rules, okay, as any ISO, to the right equipment, for example, to measure the water activity. So any kind of specification based on how to perform it, the right temperature at 25 degrees, the accuracy, the repeatability, everything is written in this ISO 18787. Then surely another really important market on which the water activity is essential is the pharmaceutical and the cosmetics. You may consider, to simplify, that water activity is measured in all the pharmaceutical sector, in any kind of product, powders, tablets, cream, just with the exception of the injectable water, so in the injectable solution, because clearly the value of water activity is one, as we have talked before. But surely it's very important, because we are talking about long shelf life product, to properly determine the water activity in the pharma and in the cosmetics. Even here, we can have an idea of the standard based on, for example, on the pharmacopoeia in the pharmaceutical or the cosmetic regulation that in these cases, in some countries, put as mandatory in the pharmaceutical application to run the test of water activity. But surely it's a very, very practical, common in any kind of can. And you can see even from this chart that you might have an idea of the average water activity value, okay, depending on different kind of product. And you can see always that when you have a higher value of water activity, you have always a higher value, a higher risk of possible microbial growth. And how to measure the water activity? Currently, in the market, there are mainly three different kind of sensor, okay? And these different kind of sensor, in both cases, have a weak point, okay, and even any kind of strengths. The dew point, the Schiller mirror, okay, it's the one that grants you the conformity to the ISO at the same time with the fastest analysis, because we are talking about 4 to 5 minutes to run a test. As a weak point, okay, it can be affected by volatile, for example, from alcohol or from parfum, if you have them at high concentration, higher than 15% usually. Why? Because here we are going to measure the foaming in a closed chamber, so this volatile, okay, goes to the mirror, to chiller mirror and can affect the proper reading. Then you have electrolytic sensor that determines different characteristic of an electrolyte, that is you're gonna measure, let me say, an analysis in a quite longer time. So in this case, you will need between 20 to 25 minutes to run a test. So you will need more time to perform the same test as you made on a chill mirror. It can be not affected by volatiles, but if you just have the right filters, okay, to cover the sensor, and these filters are saturable over time, so you need to change, and even the sensor itself needs to be changed quite frequently, and it has a certain cost. The third kind of sensor is the capacitive sensor that measure in another electrical property, is called impedance. In this case, is not affected by volatile, but is the longest time for test, more than 30 minutes per sample, and with the lowest accuracy. So there is no capacitive sensor currently in the market that is in conformity with the ISO. So it has not the accuracy and the repeatability that are required from the ISO. But let me just introduce you a little bit our solution, the aWLife. That is an analyzer, okay, that is developed for food, pharmaceutical, cosmetic, and herbal sector. Our instrument is based on the dew point sensor, so the first one we have seen before. That is the sensor that is in conformity, for example, with the ISO, and it is in conformity, for example, with the AOAC and the pharmacopoeia. So it's a sensor that grants you the accuracy and the repeatability that are required for this kind of international regulation. You may consider that the instrument, when it comes to you, is already ready to work. It's a very compact benchtop equipment. And these are the features. So you may consider that any kind of analyzer, okay, you have a complete measuring range, okay, for the whole water activity values. The accuracy and the repeatability are the ones that are required from the ISO 18787. So you have even the possibility to run, thanks to the dew point sensor analysis, in less than 5 minutes. And you have even the possibility to have a complete calibration, complete control range. You have 7 different aW standards, okay, that you can use both to control the unit or even to perform a real complete calibration. Lots of things about connectivity, lots of things about data management, the possibility of have administrator, the possibility to connect directly to LIMS or to easily export the result. But I think that it's better to see on the instrument later on the tutorial. You can have different way to achieve the result. You may consider that in 90% cases, okay, you're gonna run single method. Single method simply is a reading, okay, that will stop automatically when you have 3 consecutive readings with an internal error of 0.001. So it means when the plateau, when the analysis, the balance is achieved, it's gonna start automatically. Then you have even different kind of measurement. Some of them are based on the experience, even, for example, we made with some of our clients, some of unique, like the test life, that it makes possible to measure the water activity value based on different thermal stress. This is, for example, a a protocol that we have developed together with one of our customers, with Ferrero. And for example, you have even the method for the ISO accreditation, so you can even certify your equipment. Then, as we have seen before, we have a dew point sensor, and the limitation of the dew point sensor is based a little bit on volatiles. So you have, for example, the less method that is gonna reduce a little bit the repeatability and the accuracy of the instrument, but enable you to run test even if you have volatile inside. This is the complete range of the 7 standard I told you before. You may consider that this kind of standard that are based on different kind of salt, okay, in a distilled water solution, and they have almost 3 years shelf life from our production, so it's very long life, so you can easily use them, and you have a very complete range from 0.15 to 1. So in order to, let me say, summarize which are the best feature of our unit, currently we may consider that the accuracy and the speed of the test that we made on this instrument are still the best one in the market. So it's very important for us because we are always in conformity with the strictly requirements that you might have in a pharmacopoeia or in the ISO or in the UAC. Then surely it is easy and robust. If you know Steroglass as brand, if you have the possibility to play with some of our instruments, you always know that when we develop something, we know that our main customer needs to have something strong that minimized the maintenance request and easy to use. So aWLife, like our other solution, is very intuitive and it's very easy to use and easy to maintain. Surely it's important because we can assure, okay, really data affordable, okay, so you can have the most accurate and repeatable result, even though if the analysis is made by known chemists. These are some of our customer, okay, just simple and quick of the main targets. So from the food, like I told you, Ferrero for us is a top client in Italy for the food, but like even GB Food that is very present even in Africa with the different kind of production lines, and then even on the pharmaceutical like Sanofi in France or Teva in Israel and Spain. So there are many important customers that already choose aWLife as their aW meter. So now I think that the most interesting part is to show you a little bit how the instrument works. So I'm gonna share a quick video tutorial that will show you the main function of the instrument and even how to perform a test.
Steroglass's aWLife is the most advanced analysis instrument designed to simplify and enhance water activity analysis. In this video tutorial, we will guide you step by step through the analysis of a granulated pharmaceutical product. Step 1. Initialization. First, connect the power cable and switch on the instrument pressing the power button. When the device starts up, an informational pop-up appears on the display, followed by the home screen, featuring a clear and intuitive interface. Before proceeding, set the working temperature of the analysis chamber. The standard temperature is 25 degrees Celsius with a tolerance of plus or minus 1 degree. This means the instrument can start the analysis with the sample temperature between 24 degrees and 26 degrees Celsius. The instrument will automatically bring the sample to the correct temperature. Step 2. Calibration. Before each session, it is necessary to perform calibration by selecting the calibration type. The software will display all available standards to choose from. Next, place the selected standard in the analysis chamber and confirm to start calibration. Step 3. Analysis. Now we can prepare the samples. Distribute the product evenly inside the sample holder, then place it in the analysis cell. When the instrument is ready, press the Start button to begin the analysis. You will then be asked to give a name to the sample, and then the instrument will automatically bring the sample to the correct temperature. When this is reached, the analysis phase begins. The display shows a graph tracking and reading in real time. The system automatically performs a series of measurements until it obtains 3 consecutive values that are very close to one another, with an accuracy of 1/1000th. At the end of the analysis, a green light shows that it was successful. Press Finish, then remove the sample from the chamber. Thanks to the dew point sensor, aWLife ensures precise and reliable results in approximately 5 minutes. Step 4. Results. The results are automatically stored in the internal memory and can be viewed at any time. They can be exported by connecting a computer with the dedicated software, by using a USB flash drive, or a printer. After each analysis, it is recommended to clean the cell to have the instrument ready for future measurements. aWLife, the next generation of Steroglass instruments for water activity measurement.
Great. Okay, I think we can probably end the webinar. Again, thank you everyone for attending.
Thank you,
we
Lily.
will be in contact with all the information soon. And a reminder, if you do have any other questions, please feel free to reach out to us. We'll be happy to assist. Thank you, Jacopo.
Thank you, Leila.